we'll go ahead and start with some rumors, all right? So I saw, a couple of different things about some rumors of contracts that the Rams could be reworking even this week. I didn't see any news today. Hopefully nothing happens while I record, because that's always super unfortunate when that happens. But I have been seeing some names of potential reworked contracts here. So, the big one here, the big name one is, there's rumors saying that the LA Rams could restructure, but realistically it would be more of a renegotiation for the contract for newly acquired quarterback Matthew Stafford. So he does have 2 more years on his contract. There is a $20 million cap hit this year and a $23 million cap hit next year. And the Rams are kind of getting out of, it's going to take a couple of years still, but we are kind of getting out of that salary cap hell that we hit. Like, we're still paying, I think I wrote it down here, $40 million in dead cap this season. $40 million in dead cap. You know what kind of player you can get for $40 million? A pretty good one, all right? Or like a couple of good ones, honestly. I mean, that's top notch there. You can bring in Mahomes for that kind of money. You know what I'm talking about? So, obviously, the dead cap is a major issue right now. In the way that the Rams have been structuring contracts, it will take a couple of years to get completely out of that. But what we've seen and what we've known just because of these last few years is that the Rams do have the abilities to work around those numbers and still bring in talent and retain talent no matter what those salary cap numbers look like. But Stafford clearly wants to be here. His current deal is up in 2 years, like I said. Let's make a deal, Sneed. Could have an enticing deal up his sleeves that he could sell to Stafford to bring in some higher dollar teammates, something that Stafford really hasn't seen a whole lot. Of course, he has seen, Calvin Johnson. He has had some decent players out in Detroit. I don't want to just super bash the Lions or anything like that. It's not what we're about here. But the fact is there's more talent on this team today than Matthew Stafford's ever seen on a single team. And I think that's where a lot of the media stuff is coming from, where, even like Colin Cowherd's coming out and he's like, no, Matthew Stafford's not the savior of the Rams because he's only done this and that. But it's a completely different situation. It's apples and oranges, honestly. The LA Rams and Detroit Lions are apples and oranges. You cannot compare the two. They're two completely different things. Two completely different ways the organizations are run. Two completely different mindsets on bringing in free agents. It's all completely different. It's not comparable. Everything that Matthew Stafford did for Detroit, it's kind of not relevant to what he's going to potentially do for the LA Rams. And that's why I'm excited about it, because we know that he's a talented quarterback. We know that he's more talented than Jared Goff. By how much, I don't know. And I'm not here to say to you that Matthew Stafford is just this savior that, he comes in and we're automatically, it's because Stafford's here, we are Super Bowl favorites. The NFC is a tough conference anyway. The NFC West is a tough division anyway. And I think that if he can just limit some of the mistakes that Jared Goff had, we had all those mistakes with Jared Goff, the fumbles, the interceptions, the inability to read the defense, and he's throwing these bad passes, and we still were able to win 10 games and win a road playoff game. If you can just eliminate half of those mistakes, this is a 12-win team and maybe wins 2 or 3 playoff games. That's what I'm trying to sell to you guys. But I still will get the comments of, like, Matthew Stafford, we don't know yet. Like, Matthew Stafford's never won a playoff game. Yeah, for the Lions. I've said it before. I'll say it again. If you go back to that quote. Like, if you judge your fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend its entire life believing it's an idiot. If you judge a quarterback by his ability to win playoff games for the Detroit Lions, everybody will think that he sucks. So it's not comparable. I don't think it's a realistic thing. Getting back to the contract, though, $20 million this year, $23 million next year. That is something that can be reworked or completely renegotiated. We can just kind of like nix that contract, get it out of here, and then just redo an entire deal. Something that we could kind of guarantee that Stafford will be our quarterback until he retires, if that is something that the Rams want to do. Of course, we have not yet seen him on the field. So if that is something that the Rams want to do, I think that this would be a really good time to do it. You know what I mean? So I know we're getting ready for the season, but it's not like Matthew Stafford sitting in Les Snead's office like, I don't know about this. What about if we did this? Like, it's his agent, okay? Matthew Stafford's prepping for the Bears, all right? So don't worry about that one either. I get those comments as well. But the Rams are definitely a few years away from their salary cap obligations, I guess you could say. So tossing it out completely and just reworking something, I think it makes total sense. I think that we can structure it the way that we structure contracts, which, as we have seen in the past couple of years, it allows us to wiggle around some stuff. And I don't want to say fudge numbers, because that's not what's happening. It's just the way that we structure it allows us to open up some room. Some other names that have been mentioned. This is kind of directly from an article I read. Did not check. I don't remember where it was. I also don't remember who wrote it. So my sincerest apologies. And if you're watching this, comment it. I'll pin it or something, or I'll draw attention. I don't want to not give you credit for things that you're saying, but these are all very realistic names. For other possible restructure rumors, we got Darius Williams, Tyler Higbee, Rob Havenstein, and Sebastian Joseph Day. Sebastian Joseph Day is on a rookie contract, so the Rams could be looking at extending him long-term so that we can keep him around, especially because it does seem like he's going to be a big player this season. Rob Havenstein, realistically, coming up to the latter end of his career here. He's coming near the end, so do the Rams want to keep him around? I would think so. It's not like he's an absolute superstar, but he does a great job on that right tackle spot. We don't hear about Rob Havenstein. You know what I mean? That's like out of everybody's mind. Rob Havenstein, that's not a name that comes up very often. He's not really getting flagged, but he's not giving up sacks, but he's also not like top in the Pro Bowl votes or anything like that. He just does a very good job consistently. He just does it. You know what I mean? So I would like to see Havenstein wrap up his career here. I think that would be pretty cool to see. He is the second longest tenured Ram now. And, third, because we talked about Hecker possibly leaving, but he did not. He is still here. And then Tyler Higbee, you know what? This is one that I've kind of, he's under contract through 23. This is one that I've kind of mentioned before. If Jacob Harris can progress like we think he can, then I think that would kind of It would change the way we think about Tyler Higbee's contract. So for that one specifically, I would hold off and see what we got here. We don't know what Munt is really going to do. He hasn't really had that big of a role in recent years because of the presence of Gerald Everett. But now he's going to have a bigger role. And then, of course, Jacob Harris coming in, who we think can be very, very good. We'll see him out there. And, he was kind of getting a lot of targets in preseason and stuff like that. So we can get him out there, and let's see first before we are trying to redo a deal for Higgs when we don't know if we necessarily need him long-term. Maybe we can save that money. You know what I mean? It's a business. You know what I mean? So I like Higbee. He's looking cool. He's looking like he's got some connection there with Stafford. So I'm excited to see him this season, but we'll see what happens, man. Darius Williams also, he's under his 1-year deal. We did slap a first-round restricted free agent tender on him, so he is sticking around this year. I have been saying that I do believe this is Darius Williams' final year as a Ram, but the Rams only do have 4 corners right now. Of course, there's always the option of bringing some of those guys back next year. Some of these guys are going to be around next year. I feel like, the Bronte Harris, Diane Ganwoloku Lake, these guys are going to be around. If we desperately need somebody, some people that we've worked with before, we can bring them in. But Darius Williams, I would love to keep Darius Williams around. I'm not sold that it will happen. I would like to see it happen, though, for sure. And then we did hear, this kind of all spawned from the Johnny Hekker news of him reworking his deal when the Rams traded away Corey Bojorquez. But Johnny Hekker, he effectively freed up $1 million in cap space for the Rams with his reworked contract, and he now has the option to void his contract after the 2022 season. That's a year earlier than his original deal was going to expire. So we could get Johnny Hekker for just these next 2 years and then move on from him, which feels pretty real. But also, I know that some people comment that Hekker, he's coming off of his worst season. And yes, statistically, yes, he is. But I think a lot of that goes onto the coverage. He definitely had his worst special teams coordinator last year. And this year, it looks a little bit different with Joe D coming in. So hopefully some magic can happen on that front there. But I'm not anti-Hekker like some fans are. I don't actually get it, to be completely real with you guys. Stat sheet shows one thing. It shows a lower average. But game tape shows that the coverage was really what the issue was as far as the punting game goes. And I think that goes to the coordinator, because Bones was awesome. The departure of Bones left us with a hole there. Rams fans that made it all the way to the very end of the video, my favorite kind of person, all the way here. Love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Appreciate you. Now, what I need from you guys is, if you guys have not already, subscribe. And that's right going to be on this side right here. It's very easy to find. On this side here, if you liked this clip, I guarantee you're going to like the entire episode. So check that out right here. Peace. Go Rams.